Scriabin's third sonata is his last early-era sonata. In this sonata analysis video, we're going to analyze Scriabin's third sonata in terms of background information, structure, motifs, and chromaticism. Scriabin must have been very proud of this sonata because he personally recorded it into a player piano. It's wonderful to be able to hear how Scriabin played this sonata in a recording that I'll link in the description. There's 4 movements to this sonata, and I'll briefly mention the first 3 movements and mostly focus on the final movement. The first movement is in sonata form. It's very dramatic, and personally I don't like it all that much. The second movement is short, catchy, and bouncy. The third movement has a very pretty lyrical melody that returns at the climax ending of the final movement. This is the first of many works where Scriabin initially introduces a lyrical melody softly, and then by the end brings it back with intensity for the climax. At the end of the third movement, the first movement is referenced, and then we get a build-up that brings us directly into the fourth movement without stopping. Now let's take a moment to analyze this opening first motif to see how this chromatic melody works. The melody jumps up a fourth and then returns to where it started, moving down chromatically. The first measure harmony is F sharp minor, which is the key of the piece, and the second measure starts on E major and ends on what resembles a 5 chord while F sharp remains in the bass throughout. A lot of the chromaticism in this piece is achieved by using non-chord tone passing tones. One motif within theme 1 is this rising and falling motif, which still features chromaticism, and the left hand plays the main theme 1 motif below. Theme 1 concludes with a transition section that moves up minor thirds using fragments of the theme 1 motif, and then we arrive at the soft lyrical theme 2 in the relative major key of A. Afterward, there's a brief codetta restating theme 1 before we get to the development section where things get interesting. In the development section, he creates chromatic embellishments on theme 1 that uses all 12 pitches. We also see theme 1 get inverted, meaning the melody goes in the opposite direction, leaping down a fourth and then moving chromatically upward. Then he presents theme 1 on its own melodically using a contrapuntal technique called stretto, where before the motif is completed, a new statement of the motif is played on top of it. He repeats this process 4 times, each time starting a half step higher than before, meaning that the large-scale transpositions resemble the small-scale chromatic motif. After hearing another rising motif, we transition back to theme 2 for the recap. Normally in sonata form, the development section returns to theme 1, but perhaps he chose to return to theme 2 for contrast from the intense theme 1 dominated development section. This time theme 2 is in the parallel major key of F sharp major. Theme 1 returns with some variations, and then the coda begins quietly as a build-up to the climax. The build-up section has a dominant pedal, meaning that the 5th scale degree C sharp stays in the bass to build tension until we get a 5-to-1 cadence arriving at the climax. The climax features the melody from movement 3 triumphantly with interjections of theme 1 during the sustains of the melody. Then the climactic melody finishes and we get one last chromatic sort of run in the right hand while the left hand continues the theme 1 motif, and then the piece ends on a major 4-to-1 cadence. Scriabin's third sonata is the culmination of his early-era chromaticism. It was innovative for its time, but not particularly innovative compared to its subsequent sonatas that came after it. This sonata very much follows tonal conventions with predictable tonic to dominant cadences. However, the use of chromaticism is pretty ingenious by any standard. I really enjoy this sonata, and it shows how Scriabin was able to write incredible tonal sonatas within the general boundaries of the era he lived in. You can listen to the last two movements of this sonata with the score with highlighted themes here, or check out my Scriabin related content on this channel. Please check out my website, join the Discord, and like, comment, and subscribe.